Tepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haroon Nefer. This is Qesankh Keparu with another video for you. In this video, I want to talk to you about the voter scare tactics 2024. Going into 2025. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time on my channel, hit the notification bell to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you're interested in knowing more about my spiritual teachings, you can become a Patreon supporter and you'll get unlimited access to instructional videos on the spiritual and esoteric, videos that will teach you how to meditate properly, how to do astral projection, how to work with herbs to have lucid dreams or to lucid dream, how to contact your ancestors, to do magical evocation, and so much more. The great thing is there is no obligation. You can cancel at any time. So become a Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. So Grand Rising, Namaste, Haroon Nefer, welcome. You know, we find ourselves repeating history. And it seems that so many of us are caught in this cycle of just going around and around and around. And every 4 years, we are asked to vote. And typically what we see happens is that the candidates, which we only are allowed to pick from 2, both of whom are no good. So we find ourselves in a very serious situation, which if you watch my channel, I always call it the Hegelian dialectic. 2 choices is no choice. You see, the Western mindset, the European mindset, is really caught up in this idea of binary thought process. This is a function of the left brain, segregative thinking, where it actually creates good and evil, and they have the 2 fight in this heroic battle. But when we examine the African perspective and the holistic thinking or cosmological thinking that we were trained on, we understand that there's nothing has a quality in and of itself, as the God Tahuti tells us. Therefore, there is no evil in the world, as the Western thought process would have us believe. You see, they would come up with this whole idea of a thesis and an antithesis, and then somewhere in the middle, I guess, is the truth. This carries over into every aspect of their society, especially the political arena. You see, we are so caught up in a system that is corrupt, we never take a step back to look and see how things are fixed. How every step we take is wrong because the pattern of thinking, the paradigm that has been created is wrong. When we go to war, it's always about freedom, that our country is fighting for freedom and that they're the enemy, even though we're financing them. We're sending them military equipment. And when they decide to do their own thing, then we've got to go out there and spank them. You see, many of these foreign so-called evil people were at one point financed by our government. And when they decided not to play ball We then rolled out the propaganda machine to call them evil, and that we must eradicate them in order to spread democracy. This is why we have things such as racism and sexism, because in the European mindset, the white is right and the black is wrong. This is backed up by their scriptures. This is backed up by their artistic depictions of the, if you look at the original devil who's black and the angels who are white, all of this propaganda would be instilled in your mind as a sort of programming. In the same way that they say there's one side that's good, another side that's evil. This has messed up everything about their society, including their sciences. Because they built this field called science based on 5 sensory input. They do not believe in the metaphysical. They have a hard time with abstract thought process. So therefore, when you talk to them about things like if they're exploring life on other planets using JWT, the James Webb Telescope, and you point out to them, well, you're only looking for physical manifestations of life. There's metaphysical life out there as well. They can't imagine that. That's too beyond their thinking. In the same way, when our ancient ancestors would take medicines like ayahuasca or DMT and go into these alternate states of consciousness and say, there are beings there, there are entities there. Modern science could not accept that because it's too metaphysical, too abstract. Just like they have a problem believing in God because God is Amen on the tree of life, imperceptible. You can't see, hear, feel, taste. God is no thingness. So they can't accept that. It has to be a physical representation of something before they can accept it. And then when they accept it, they have to put it into their paradigm of either good or evil, negative or positive. They don't see the shades of gray. They don't understand synthesis. So hence for them, the idea of a political system where one party is right and the other is wrong makes sense to them. But they don't understand that two things can be true at the same time. That's hard for them to accept that notion because they're left brain thinkers. And they know that this is their issue. So what do? Do they work to fix it? No, because it will be a Herculean task for them because it permeates every aspect of their society. So they use it to manipulate the masses. In this case, voters, especially with people of color, Black people. You see, if they can tell you and make you believe that one political party or candidate is racist, then by natural conclusion, the other side must not be racist. And if you are aboard that other party that's not racist, then you are right. And because they know Black people are emotional, have become emotional due to social engineering, they know that they can manipulate you by telling you that this candidate is a racist. he has said some racist stuff. Meanwhile, they cover up the racist history and things said by their candidate. This is what Hitler did. Made it seem like the Jews were the enemy and that the Nazis were the ones on the side of right and fighting for liberty and God and all that. And because Black people can be triggered so easily, we fall victim to this manipulation. Be damned if both sides are racist, which is true. Both sides are racist. Like I said, two things can be true at the same time. But instead of looking at the policies that they're putting forth, you're caught up in an emotional argument about which one is the most racist, even though the one that they create as the boogeyman was already in the White House, had a track record of 4 years, and didn't do anything to African Americans, didn't do anything to Black people or freedmen or ADOS. Yet you're still scared. You're still emotional, as if this person is going to turn around and do something like put in place death camps for Black people. Because you've been programmed to be emotional about this person. Let's cut to the chase here. You have all these sororities, fraternities who've come out of the woodwork to back Kamala Harris just because she's Black. That's all. A Black woman. That's all. Because if you really look at her economic policies, her domestic and foreign policies, you'll see that they're at detriment to Black people. In fact, she gave a speech, said that on day one, she'll fix inflation and the economy. Well, that's hilarious because she's been in office for about 4 years now. What have you been doing for the past 4 years? Nothing. And in fact, your party is the party that created the problems. So you're going to fix the problem that you created. Meanwhile, many people know that when Trump was in office, they had money in their pockets, money in their bank accounts. Gas prices weren't as high, but you're scared of Trump because he's a boogeyman. Because that's the narrative that they're feeding to you. Trump, evil racist. Kamala, the hero of the story. Even though she is a chameleon, see, she's Black when it's convenient. Because up until these elections, she always claimed to be Brahmin, Indian. But I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I'm here to reveal the wizard behind the curtain. You see, when I went to school, they had us read one of the best books you could ever get a hold of, which was George Orwell's 1984 and August Huxley, A Brave New World. And those books really, and then there's Animal Kingdom as well, or I'm sorry, not Animal Kingdom, Animal Farm. Those books really get down to the brass tacks. They reveal to you how the system works, how they manipulate the masses. But you are not interested in that at all. You're not interested in the fact that it's all phony, it's all smoke and mirrors. You just know that there's a sister girl that could be the next president. That's all you care about. Meanwhile, she has demonstrated to be one of the most evil people, and in her own words said she will do nothing specifically to help Black people. You don't care. This is you not caring. Because it's Black sister girl. You see, reaching a certain level of spiritual maturity or maturity in general tells you that you may have to take medicine that you don't like. The medicine may not taste good, but you still have to take it. You may not like Trump, but you do know that when he was in office, there was a good economy. There was no high gas prices. But you don't want to take that medicine. Because you're triggered. You've been brainwashed and programmed into believing that he's going to do something so bad to Black people, even though he was already president for 4 years and did nothing. His 4-year administration did not enact any laws that detrimentally affected Black people. Yet Biden gave us a 3 strikes you're out, the prison industrial complex. He talked about he was not for integration. Kamala is married to a white man. You try to have a Black man running for president who's married to a white woman, Black people won't vote for that person. If Obama were married to a white woman, he would never become president. But you're okay with Kamala becoming president because you're a hypocrite. Yes, you are. You're walking around a hypocrite. And you're mentally ill if you believe that Biden and Kamala are not racist. They are just as racist, if not more, than Trump. It's just the media has chosen to highlight the racist statements made by Trump for their own agenda. See, when you're a man like Trump, you've made enemies of certain corporations and business partners. And those enemies are going to stab you in the back and say nasty things about you. I want you to understand that Kamala went 4 years knowing that Biden was not mentally capable of being president. And she hid that secret. That he was being pumped up with steroids and other concoctions to be able to debate Trump and still did a terrible job. She knew that he was not only mentally incompetent, but she knew that his cabinet was the ones behind the scenes making decisions, putting in place the laws, and not him. And she said nothing. She knew this. And now she's trying to gaslight you and tell you that on her first day in office as Madam President, she's going to fix the economy when she's had 4 years to do it, and she hasn't done it. You see, what they're not telling you is that the inflation was specifically caused by Biden and his people. Because when they got in office, they started their plan to make themselves rich off the hardworking Americans. Ask them about the cutting of the Keystone pipeline, how that directly relates to the inflation, and what Biden's administration did. They could end this inflation if they wanted to, but it's making them too much money. And in Kamala's economic plan, she calls for the allocation of funds to immigrants so they can buy homes. You see, where Trump closed the borders, the DNC, they wanted to open the borders, allow immigrants in, give them money, give them health care, give them homes. Meanwhile, African Americans have said, we want reparations. We just want decent wages, jobs. And our cries have been ignored. Each 4 years, we talk about reparations, and no one pays attention. Yet, they're willing to bend over and do whatever they can just so they can get votes from the immigrants to get them to come to this country, to do anything possible to bring them to this country, get them hotel rooms to stay at, get them food, get them cash to spend. What is going on here? Her economic plan outlines funds to give to them so they can become first-time homeowners. But what about redlining? We've seen what that has done to the African American community. How come no one has fixed that? How come Kamala has not addressed that? Where the banks refuse to give loans to Black families so they could buy homes. And now we have the immigrant population, and her administration wants to just give them money, throw cash at them. But you're okay with that because Trump is the enemy. He's going to do something so insidious and evil in office. Isn't Kamala already planning to do something insidious and evil right there? Taking money from Black people that was allocated to Black people and giving it to the immigrants and telling Black people, sorry, you're going to have to work with the Hispanic population. This government has nothing it can do for you. That's what Biden said. Have you read her economic plan? Have you seen what she intends to do? It's bad enough she's trying to gaslight you for the last 4 years. But now she's throwing it in your face to tell you that she's going to ignore you. And what do you do in response? You gather the fraternities and sororities to give money to put Sister Girl in office just because she's a Black woman. And then you fall for the whole creation of the boogeyman story. I'm not trying to tell you how to vote. I'm telling you that you're being manipulated. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't vote. I've already told you I don't subscribe to the Hegelian dialectic. I'm trying to tell you that both can be wrong. Both parties can be wrong. And they are wrong. Both parties are wrong. Because if the issue not on the table, if the issue isn't about reparations, then I'm not interested in the candidates. If you're not going to talk about reparations, I'm not interested. If we're not going to talk about police brutality and violence, I'm not going to talk. I don't want to have anything to do with these candidates. But every 4 years, we jump on a bandwagon and we don't ask for tangibles. We ask these candidates for nothing, and they give us nothing in return. How many times are we going to do this? Every 4 years, throw our votes away on candidates that are not going to give us anything, have not promised us anything, and don't give a shit about us. Excuse my French. You have got to take a stand and say, if you're not going to be talking about policies that benefit my people, then you're not getting my vote, and I don't want to hear what you have to say. That's the truth of the matter. But to vote for someone because they're a woman in black, you've got to be insane. You're the sick person, because you're supposed to be looking at policies that each candidate has and the tangibles they will give you. You're supposed to go to the candidates and say, this is what we want. Who's going to abide by that and give us this? And whichever candidate says, I will give you these once I become president, that's the candidate that you endorse. You go and tell Kamala, we're tired of you giving money to immigrants. We, as black people, freedmen, who have a legacy in this country, want what's due to us, our 40 acres and a mule. We want that. And if you don't give it to us, we're not giving you our vote. That's how it has to work. That's real politics. But you go to these conventions, and because Kamala is, or acts black, or talks with a black twang or slang, then you're just ready to give her your vote, regardless of her policies. I asked a friend, well, you know, why are you voting for her? Because she went to a historically black college. That's not a reason to vote for her. What is she going to do for you? Oh, I don't know. Then why are you voting for her? Because she's one of us. No, she's not. Just because she has a certain skin complexion. Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. Listen, make up your own mind. Do what you feel is best. I'm just a messenger, and I'm telling you that we're going in the wrong direction again. And nothing will change. I told people from the very beginning, don't support Black Lives Matter. They weren't for us. No one listened. Now we know. Anyway, I want to thank you for tuning in today. If you like this message, please donate to the channel. This is Qesankh Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, I'm in Ra.